What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Us vs. Them YouTube channel. I'm your host, Vince, and we're going to break down the next fight we have for our main event this weekend. We have Steve Erceg versus Tim Elliot. Right now, Tim Elliott sitting at a plus 158 underdog, and Erceg is sitting at a minus 190 favorite. Before I get further into this breakdown, if I could remind you guys, hit the like video for this button, or hit the like button for this video, subscribe to the channel, all that bullshit. And yeah, let's get into this breakdown. When these lines opened up, we saw Steve Erceg open up as a huge favorite. The line has since pretty corrected to probably closer to where it needs to be. But I saw him being at a minus 320, minus 350 favorite earlier this week, and I was like, no way. On the other side of that, Tim Elliott there was a lot of value earlier this week on him on the underdog. But again, he's kind of made a career off of beating guys that he was a big underdog against and kind of wearing them out. We just saw him do that against Kai Sakura. He wore him out in the first round, kind of took his timing away from him, started to implement his wrestling, got on top, got that, he got a ghillie choke and finished it in round 2. So he just kind of systematically broke him down. So Tim Elliott, like I said, he's kind of made a career on that, and it's kind of like, this is one of those fights where I'm looking at and I'm just like, is this kind of another example of Tim Elliott getting ready to do that? It kind of seems like almost a slam dunk opportunity for Tim Elliott to kind of come in and rain on everybody's parlays. It just seems like another example of that. I don't know. Are you guys feeling that way too? I think it's important too to kind of break down some of the fights that Tim Elliott has been involved in. I don't think this guy's getting enough credit for some of the things he's done recently in the UFC. He's 39 years old, so I think that gives him, he gets overshadowed a lot for that reason, and I can definitely see why. 39 at 125, that's definitely on the older side. But, if you look at his recent performances, he's looked really good. Kai Sakura, we already talked about that, kind of broke him down, got the ghillie choke in the second round, beat him there. Sumaderchi, he's coming off a win against Sumaderchi. We got the arm triangle choke in round 1, got the job done. Before that, he lost to Muhammad Mokaev. I think Mokaev is probably the best 125-pounder. Sorry, I got something in my fucking eye. But he's probably the best 125-pounder in the whole world. So he lost to Muhammad Mokaev, where he actually had a decent showing for the first round or two, and then ended up getting an arm triangle choke in round 3. Before that, he won against Victor Altamirano, won against Tiger Olimbekov, good win. So if you look at his last 5 fights, he lost to the best guy in the world, and then he won the other 4. And he's getting finishes. At 125, man, I'm telling you, Tim Elliott, he don't get enough credit, and it's a bummer to see the line correct the way it did because there was a lot more value at the beginning of this week for sure. Steve Erceg on the other side he's a more well-rounded fighter. Obviously, he's got like more of a karate-style stance, so he's really tricky on his feet. The timing, his timing can be really tricky to kind of get on track of for fighters with the karate base or whatever. But, honestly, he's just more well-rounded of a fighter. He showed in the Pantoja fight, he's kind of got that dog in him a little bit. But that's been his best performance in the UFC since. His best performance in the UFC is a loss. And honestly, sometimes when you look at a fighter like that, when their best performance is a loss, you kind of have to look at that with a grain of salt. The most likely outcome, according to the odds, is that Steve Erceg gets this done this weekend by points. That's sitting at plus 110 right now. I can definitely see how that can happen. Steve Erceg getting this done. He can pick them apart, defend the wrestling, kind of win the striking exchanges and getting it done, obviously, on the scorecards. Not saying that's going to happen. That's not going to happen at all. But what I'm really feeling is, you got on the other side, you got Elliot, who he's either winning fights or he's getting finished. That's kind of been his mantra for a little bit now. When you look at the way he talks in interviews, he has a more reckless approach in his fighting in a good way, in a really good way, to where it's entertaining for the fans. It's obviously caused him to win fights. He's 10-11 or something like that in the UFC, but he's 4-1 in his last 5. So obviously he had a rougher start in the beginning, but what he's doing right now is things that are working. So I wouldn't overlook him for sure at being 39 years old, and obviously the line's suggesting that too. But, Steve Erceg by points at plus 110 right now. Again, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I would definitely look at fade in that one. I'm not saying Erceg is going to lose this fight at all, but my point of that too is just to say that I think Elliot, if he starts to find himself being down on the cards, he's going to start opening up and taking more risks. And taking more risks, he's either going to win the fight or he's going to get finished. So if you're feeling Steve Erceg get it done, I would take the double chance prop for him to get it done by KO or submission. That's sitting at plus 270 right now. That's obviously going to get way more money on that for sure. but I think that's more likely of an outcome than him getting it done by just a decision at plus 105 or plus 110 or whatever it was. On the other side of this, I think that there's definitely a strong case that you can make for Tim Elliot getting this done. And I think if he does get it done, I can see him getting it done on the scorecards. That line, obviously, it opened up a lot better earlier this week, so if you're able to get it on that, good for you for sure. But right now, it's sitting at plus 370 for Elliot to get it done on the scorecards. I do think there's a really good value. I think this is one of those fights that you could definitely base a parlay around. So definitely tune into our parlay videos to see kind of what we do with this fight, because it's going to get incorporated for sure. That's all I got for you guys in this fight. Stop by for our next breakdown. We're going to break down Shamil Gaziev versus Brando Pericic, or whatever, how you say his name. I definitely see some really good opportunities for that one, so stop by for that video. And that's all I got, so I'm the fuck out of here.